2020 has been a unique year. That's why I wanted to begin this series that I'm calling How 2020 Has Tried, has tried to ruin every relationship. Not that it has, but it's certainly not made things easier. I don't know if you've been aware of this or not, but all throughout this year, if you've known people, it's become increasingly difficult for people to be able to be in relationships with each other. We are at a moment and a season that seems to be at an all-time high. Marriages falling apart, friendships being divided and crumbling, families being ripped apart because of the divisive nature of this year altogether in its entirety, and just all of the obstacles that we have faced repetitively, that if we're honest, it does make things a little difficult for us to be able to relate to others well. Also, you throw into the mix that for a long period of time, we were actually discouraged from being around people. Some of you, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to you, right? You were like, an excuse to not have to see people. That's amazing, right? I love all of the introverts in the room. I don't always get you or understand you as I wake up in the morning and think, where are there people? People? Anybody? Anybody? Can you hear anybody out there, right? And I crave people. But here's the thing, no matter if you're introvert, extrovert, or whatever your personality type is like, you and I were designed with the capacity for relationship. We were designed with the capacity. And we're even wired in such a way. It's been a fascinating thing this year that even in secular publications, newspaper after newspaper have said, hey, we're actually not wired for a year like 2020. We are not made for this. I'm like, it's because we're created in the image of God with capacity for a relationship. But here's the thing. When we get to moments like this, discouragement starts to creep in. Depression at an all-time high starts to creep in. Isolation becomes a thing that's the norm for us, even though we know that there's people around, even though that we know that I can get online or I can get any place and I can find some people if I really wanted to. Discouragement in you makes it really difficult for you to have good relationships with other people. I don't know if you realize this or not, but a lot of your purpose that God has given to you is built around you relating to other people. A lot of your God-given purpose is built around you relating to other people. It's very difficult for me to fulfill the purpose of God in my life and make a difference in somebody else's life if I am not around any other people or I'm not connected to any other people. So you know what happens? I believe so much that in moments like this that the enemy wants for us to shrink back and feel alone, abandoned, and like everybody else is against us, because as long as you feel all alone, abandoned, and like the world is against you, then you don't ever try to love anybody else. You don't ever try to lean in and serve anybody else because you're stuck in this place. Asking this question, this is the title of my message today. Am I the only one? Am I the only one? Am I the only one? And probably in the back of your mind, whether you realize it or not, this has been a question that you've been playing. Right? Some of us, even though you've been married, even though that you know there's some people around in your family, even though you know that there's people in community like this of church that you could connect with, in the back of your mind, though, you ask this question, am I the only one? Am I the only one? At different points in time this year, you've asked questions, am I the only one who cares? Am I the only one who cares what's happening in the world? Am I the only one with concern? Other times you ask, am I the only one who doesn't care, right? Am I the only one today who really does not care anymore, right? Am I the only one who's this tired and who doesn't know why I am this tired? Because I've done less than I've ever done, but I'm more fatigued than ever. Am I the only one who's afraid, right? Am I the only one that's full of fear about what might happen next? Or am I the only one who's not afraid, right? Am I the only one who's not walking around terrified out of their minds, right? But here's what that does. Here's what all of those questions do. When you play that question in the back of your mind, am I the only one? You create this vacuum that only you can live in and that you exist in all by yourself. And you push everybody else away because you think nobody else gets me. Nobody else is like me. Nobody else could possibly understand what it's like to be me. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to go to this passage today in which someone doesn't just ask the question, am I the only one? But eventually gets to a place of saying, I am the only one. I'm the only one. And we're going to discover the lies that we sometimes believe that gets us to that place of isolation and separation from everybody else. The story I'm going to is 1 Kings chapter 19. 1 Kings chapter 19. And we're going to this story in the Old Testament of this guy by the name of Elijah, who is a prophet of God, who's the guy that we actually briefly talked about in the James series, for those of you who were around all summer when we looked at the book of James, as this guy who prayed and drought happened, right? Who prayed and then the rain came back. A guy who was so faithful to God. But when we get to this particular scene of his life, he had prayed and he had served and he had seen the idols of the world being defeated. He had seen so many amazing things happen. But then all of a sudden he gets to this scene in 1 Kings 19. So Jezebel's clean at this point in time. There's a reason why that name is not a name that is oftentimes held up in high regard, right? Because she's not so nice. Okay, you're about to see why here in this scene in regards to Elijah. Jezebel sent this message to Elijah. May the gods strike me and even kill me if by this time tomorrow I have not killed you just as you killed them. I could read that right off of Twitter right now, right? Somebody like, is that the Bible or is that my Twitter feed? Because I thought I just saw somebody say that yesterday, right? By this time tomorrow, I promise I'm going to afflict pain on you. And if I can find you, I'm going to hurt you, right? And so this is Jezebel, all right? Anytime now you see stuff on social media, don't respond back. You might be a Jezebel, okay? Don't do that. All right, you'll be tempted to just say, hey, I think you got the spirit of Jezebel on you right now. All right, don't do that. Don't do that. But she is obviously very unhappy because Elijah had just made a fool out of her husband. And Elijah had just made a fool out of all the prophets of Baal to demonstrate that his God was alive and was victorious over all of those things. So now she is very, very, very much not happy, right? So here's what is so interesting about what happens next, though. Elijah, who has called down fire from heaven. All right, I've not ever done that. I've not ever been praying like, God, if you could just rain down some fire right now in this moment to let me know that you're with me and you haven't left me and you can do anything, now would be a great time to do that. I've not ever seen that happen. But that Elijah who has seen that happen, that Elijah who stood up to armies coming against him, look what happens. Elisha was afraid? 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 Now he's afraid? At this point in time, after all of this and everything that has happened, now he's afraid and he fled for his life. Now, one person in Jezebel has brought him to this place of this level of fear, and he flees for his life. He went to Beersheba, a town in Judah, and he left his servant there. This is like the furthest most point in the promised land that he could go to. He's like, I got to get away. I got to go as far as I can go to get away from this. I got to go as far away from everybody as I can. And did you notice what happens? His servant who had been with him, who had walked with him, who had worked with him, all throughout the process and the series of these events of miraculous occurrence after miraculous occurrence, victory after victory that Elisha had won and seen, now he leaves even his servant behind. See, because here's what's happened. Here's what happens to us when we reach our breaking point, when we reach moments where we are so burnt out and we are so tired and we're just so through with people. Here's what happens. Not only do we run away from the people that bring conflict and negativity, but we will also run from those that actually add value to our lives. Don't miss that. This is one of the things, when you're in the middle of tension and you're in the middle of darkness and you're in this place where discouragement is starting to have its way with you, you don't just run away from people that bring the bad. You will also walk away from people that are bringing the good. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? We do this because of guilt. We do this because on the inside of us, we don't want for anybody to see our fear. We don't want for anybody to see what actually messes with us. We don't want for anybody. So it's so much easier to pull away into isolation, and it's so much easier to just separate yourself from everyone than it is to stay with even a few. That's why I'm convinced right now there are those who are watching online who let me know every single week, hey, I haven't come back to church yet, or I haven't come back to a church yet. And here's why: because I'm guilty. Because I've been so afraid, or I've been so angered, I've been so frustrated by things that have happened in 2020. I not only pushed away that which was bad, but I've also hidden from that which is good. And I'm telling you, that's exactly where the enemy wants you, in that state of isolation and separation where you cannot be used by God because you're afraid that people are going to see what God already knows about. What God already knows is on the inside of you and that you're dealing with. Then he went on alone into the wilderness, traveling all day. I got to get away. I got to get away as far as I can. He sat down under a solitary broom tree and prayed that he might die. Isn't it interesting though? The further that you get, the further that you go from the purpose of God, the further that you go from the people, the further you isolate yourself out, the further you separate yourself out, the deeper you get into this pit. Elisha, who had prayed for rain to end droughts and prayed for fire to pour down on altars, that guy is now praying that he might die. I have had enough, Lord, he said. I have had enough. I have had enough. I don't know if you realize this or not, but you can pray prayers like this. I don't know if you know or not, but you should pray prayers like this. For those of us that think that praying is only reserved for moments where you need for God to do something seemingly miraculous and large, you miss the beauty of a relationship with God. Because God says, I want for you. I would rather have you call out to me and say that you've had enough. than I would for you to walk around in complete silence and isolation and never ever actually tell me how you feel. You might feel guilty and it's causing you to go your separate way away from people, but don't allow that guilt to swallow you up to the point that you won't tell God how you actually feel. Our God is good and our God is great, and our God can handle our prayers of "I've had enough." Our God can handle, God, right now, I have absolutely had enough. I've had enough with the tension. I've had enough with the pain. I've had enough with the hate. I've had enough with this, God. And if you don't show up right now, I am at my end. I'm at the end of my rope. When you get to the end of that which is yourself, pray. When you're on your way, pray. When you're struggling in guilt, pray. When shame is eating you alive, pray. When things are going as awful as they seemingly could be, pray. And when things are going well, pray. Whatever the season or the circumstance is, pray. Pray. Pray, and then pray some more. But if 2020 has not brought you to a place where you want to pray again, I can't help you. I literally can't, okay? If you come to me and you're like, Pastor Mark, I just really am struggling with my prayer life in 2020. I can't seem to get everything in the world to shut down for 2.5 months to give me enough time to pray. Well, it actually happened, okay? Well, I can't get enough, conflict stirred up in the world to make me think that things are problematic enough for me to pray about it. I'm glad you're so aloof to that which is happening and has happened in the world. But I'm telling you, if 2020 has not brought us to a place where we are willing to pray, it's like, God, if you don't come and if you don't show up and if you don't help me, I think I might just lose it, right? I can't help you. I can't help us, right? But this is where he is. I have had enough, Lord. There is a lie that he has believed that has caused him to step into isolation and separation. There's a lie that he has believed. Here's one of the lies that he has believed. It's only one thing. It's only one thing. It's only one Jezebel who said one mean thing to me. That it's only one thing. See, this is something that's happened to us in 2020. That we have these moments where we think to ourselves, man, I'm so devastated. And I'm so discouraged right now. And I just can't figure it out because it was only one thing. It was only one relationship. It was only one thing that they said to me. It was only one thing that they posted. It was only one thing. It was only one job. It was only one. It's just one thing. I ought to be handling this better than I am. I ought to be stronger than I am right now. This shouldn't bother me. I shouldn't be this anxious. It's only one thing. And when we believe the lie that it's only one thing that's brought me to this place of discouragement and guilt to the point where I want to get away from everybody and everything, we miss the reality, because here's the reality, not only of Elijah's moment, but our moment. The reality is this. It was one more thing. It's one more thing. It's not just one thing, it's one more thing. So, you've got to understand the context in which things happen and to be able to understand yourself so that then you can better actually relate to people. Because how many times have you walked into a situation and you said something to somebody and they just flew off the handle? They're like, I cannot believe you would say that. I cannot believe that you would do that. And they just walk away and they leave you behind. And you're like, wait, I don't understand what just happened there. it wasn't because you said one thing. It was because it was one more thing on top of the day that they've already had. Listen, there have been moments where I've complimented people. I've said, hey, you look really good today. And I find out months and months later, they're still mad at me for saying that. For complimenting them. Not saying, hey, you could use some work, okay? No, I don't do that, okay? I don't walk around and say, hey, think about, doing something different with your hair, right? There's multiple reasons why I don't do that, right? It would be like, buddy, why don't you look in a mirror, right? But it's not just that one thing. It's one more thing. I've said things like that to people and found out other people, they were in a marriage in which their spouse was saying, hey, you should go to the gym. You've packed on a few extra pounds. I'm not sure if I really like you anymore. You're losing your hair, right? It's not just that there was one thing. It was that there was one more thing. Right? I sit down sometimes in like marriage counseling conversations. Guys will walk in and be like, man, I don't know what it was. Like, I came in, I was a little late from work, and I missed some of the stuff with my kids, and I come home and everybody is mad at me. It's just one thing. One thing. And you dig a little deeper, and you start to say, oh, but you did that last week, and the week before, and the month before, and then 10 years before that, promising that something was eventually going to change. It's not just one thing, it's one more thing. And all throughout this year, it hasn't just been one thing, it's been one more thing. It's been one more thing after one more thing after one more thing after one more thing. And here's the thing about all of those things is that as long as people can constantly get you under the weight and the pressure of one more thing and one more thing and one more thing and one more thing, they can keep you from the thing that God has actually created you to do, which is to be in relationship with people in which you are showing them the love that Jesus has shown to you. And so right now in this moment, give yourself some grace. If you're discouraged and you're down and you feel like, man, it's just one thing, I ought to be better than this. Understand right now, we're all trying to figure out how to deal with one more thing and one more thing and one more thing every single day. Give yourself some grace and give your neighbor some grace. Instead of judging them as soon as they fly off the handle or get upset or seem to do something, you're like, man, I would never act like that. I can't believe that they would respond in this way. Give people some grace. Because when it's one more thing, you're going to want to run as far as you can from everything, certainly, that's bad, and sometimes even everything that is good. So Elijah reaches this breaking point moment here, and he continues his prayer, and he says, take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who have already died. Take my life. And it's interesting here why he says, for I'm no better than my ancestors who have already died. Now, part of that is because he's making the comparison because they are already dead, right? And he is looking at his own life and he's saying, I'm about as valuable right now as my ancestors who have already died. So part of this is that he's looking at his own life and he's already thinking it's over, right? He's already looking at his life in that way. It is done, it is over, it is finished. I have seen my best days. But also, he's looking into the past at people, ancestors, who at moments, which is part of the reason why they had been in drought, and there had been all this idolatry and hatred and violence in the world. He's looking back and he's saying, I'm not any better than them. I'm not any better than the people who are responsible for some of the reasons why we got here. I'm not any better than them. And he's looking back and he's comparing himself to other people. Let me ask you this. Does God require you to be better than other people before you can actually be in relationships with other people? Does God require you to be better than everybody else before He wants to work in and through you in a positive way in somebody else's life? I'm just asking you, because here's what I see a lot. I see a lot of Christians and a lot of Jesus followers saying, as soon as I'm the best, most spiritual, godly person in every single room that I walk in, then God will use me. Then God will show His love through me and I will love other people. Then I will share the love of Jesus with other people. Then I'll tell other people my story. Then I'll do it. When I am the best, most spiritual, godly, amazing person in every single room that I walk into. Friends, you do not have to look at everybody else in the world, past, present, future, and say, I've got to be the best before God can work in and through you. You just gotta be willing. You've just gotta be available. You just gotta be the person who says, I don't have to wait for me to be better. I am already me. I am. If you have the love of God in your life, what's better, you or God's love? Right? It wasn't you. God's not waiting for you to get better. God's coming after you with His love, saying, my unfailing love is what's better, right? It's better than your life, so much so that even when you're in a room and you don't feel like you measure up to those that are in the room, you go on right ahead and be who God has called you to be and who God has created you to be. Don't you wait for you to figure out if you're going to be able to get better. And Elisha has settled into this zone of believing this lie. This one is done. This one is done. This one, me, myself, this one is done. So he starts to feel this, okay, I have gone too far to go back. This is a super spiritual, churchy crowd who don't know nothing about going too far, feel like you can't come back from it, right? Elisha's feeling the weight of this, like I've journeyed too far. I've told good relationships goodbye. I don't want you around anymore. I've got negative stuff coming at me. People want my life to be over. I'm done. This one is done. I've gone too far in my life to ever go back, to ever come back. And listen, I'm telling you, right now inside of the minds of so many of us, this has been our thought. I have thought things, said things, done things in 2020, and I can't come back from it. I can't possibly go back and say to those who were adding good things to my life, hey, I'm sorry I walked away from you. I can't possibly address those things that were so problematic and difficult and hurtful and that I was afraid of. I can't possibly face that again. But I've come to tell somebody today that you can. You can. You absolutely can turn around and go back, because in case you haven't noticed, God didn't leave Elisha just because he went far. Just because he went in his own mind too far. There is no place that you can go to escape the love of God. There's no journey that you could take that could remove you from his plan or his purpose. There's not anything that you could do that is wrong that could cause God to be so disappointed in you that he could not forgive you. There's not any way that you could possibly go so far off course that God could not redeem you and restore you to his plan. You can't. You can't do it. You can't go that far. Elijah reaches this place where he believes the lie. This one is done. This one is done. You want for me to tell you what's really true? Though at this moment for Elisha, here's what's really true. This one has begun. This one has begun. I said, this one has begun. It wasn't that that one was done. It wasn't that this one was done. It was that this one has begun. You know why Elisha is in that moment? Come on. You know why he's at this moment where he's running from Jezebel? You know why he's at this moment when he feels like he's now facing a battle that he cannot win? Here's the reason why he's there. Because he had won every victory leading up to that point in time. See, because here's what happens in life. Oh, don't mistake the tension, the conflict, the obstacle, the relational turmoil. Don't mistake that for the end. The reason why you got there is because God had already overcome all the other obstacles leading up to it. See, the obstacle that's in front of you right now, you won because you and Jesus won the battle that happened in the last scene. That's why you're here. You know what you get as a reward for overcoming 450 prophets of Baal and having fire coming down on the altar? You know what you win with that kind of faith? You win Jezebel. You win something new. And you're like, well, I would rather just not. I would rather not win another battle. But friends, what better way to live life? Would you rather live a life where you don't ever try, where you don't ever trust God with something substantial because it would be easier to stay at home than it would be to trust God and lean into His calling and His purpose for you? Would you rather have that life, or would you rather get the next one? Would you rather get the next challenge? I'd rather get the next one. I'd rather get the next one. I'd rather get the next one. We see this all throughout Scripture. All throughout. When David stepped out of the field and into the scene of fighting Goliath, when you beat Goliath, then you get more battles. When you get more battles and you win more victories, then you get sometimes relational tension, struggles. Not everybody's going to like you. I won't drop my mic. It's too expensive. I can't buy another one. All right. Not everybody's going to like you. Gosh, I'm preaching to me. Not everybody is going to like you. I need for you to understand that when you take off and it feels like you're done, you've actually just begun. The tension is good. The obstacle is good. The conflict, the battle, the opposition is good, because the devil doesn't mess with bored, dulled, sold out, waste of time Jesus followers. He comes after people who's got something about them. He comes after people with passion, people with zeal, people with faith, people with compassion, people with love, people in pursuit of reconciliation, people who stare in the face of 2020 when everything feels like a lose-lose and says, I might not be able to always say it right or always do it right, but I'm coming. I'm going to do that which is right, that which is good, that which is true, that which is pure. I'm going to do it because that's who my God is. I just am getting started. I've just begun. But he doesn't see it. Verse 5, he laid down and slept under the broom tree. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him, get up and eat. Looked around, and there beside his bed was some bread baked on hot stones and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. Now, some of us, we would anticipate that if God shows up or God sends in this thing, angel of the Lord, that it's going to be something extravagant. It's going to be, hey, get up, let's go, get up. Here, I've got something for you to do. Come over here right now. I can't believe you would feel this way. I can't believe you don't have more faith in this. I can't believe. See, some of us imagine the angel of the Lord to be like our mom when she's really mad at us for not doing our chores. I've been gone all day and this is the best that you could do. I leave you here and you can't even scrub the toilet better than that? I can't believe you. I told you to use that kind of wipe. The other kind isn't even clean. The other kind's got bad stuff. It's going to hurt. I can't believe you didn't do better than that. Any better than that? You did 4 math problems? What is wrong with you? I can't believe you. You know what? You are done. I'm going to find me somebody else. We'll go get the kids from the other house down the neighborhood. They look like they had a bath and they know how to fix their hair. Put on matching clothes. Right. We'll go find somebody else. Right. Well, that's what God is like, right? So I can't believe you. You're the worst child ever. Do something with yourself, why don't you, right? Instead, it's like, get up. Get up and eat. One step at a time. One bite at a time. Simple things. Bread, water, simple things. Nourishment. Right? I need for us to understand that when we get to moments and we feel like the mountain is too far. It's too high to climb. I can't take on all of this. You don't have to. You don't have to. God is not saying to you, I require you to fix all of this and do it all today. I require you to become everything that you'll ever be today. No, he's not doing it. He's saying just one step, one bite, one prayer, right? If you're like, man, I don't even know where to begin right now fixing these relationships that I've left behind, here's how. One step, one day, one message, one prayer, one sign of forgiveness, one move. And Elisha starts to experience this nourishment, this provision of God. And then the angel of the Lord came again and touched him and said, get up and eat some more. Well, he comes back. What about the next time? A little more. Just one more. Just one more bite. Just one more drink. Just one more meal. Just one more. But then look at what he says. Get up and eat some more, or the journey ahead will be too much for you. Journey. I thought I was done. Journey, don't you understand? I'm praying like this is over. Journey? Future? No, I'm fine. And my life now has a final scoreboard over the top of it. It ends here for me. And my guilt and shame because of my isolation and separation from everybody else. It ends here. And God steps into the middle of all of that and he says, no. I have a journey ahead for you. I have a journey ahead for you. I have a future ahead for you. It does not end here. It does not end at guilt. It does not end at shame. It does not end at fear. It does not end at failure. It doesn't end there. It might be a part of your story. Oh, listen to me. It might be a part of your story in one season, but it doesn't end there. Listen to me. It doesn't end with the divorce. It doesn't end with the abandonment. It doesn't end with you being laid off. It doesn't end. It doesn't just end there at that moment. It doesn't end with your addiction. It doesn't end with your sinful pattern. It doesn't end with your bad decision. It doesn't end with what happened to you when you were a kid because your family couldn't figure out common human decency. It doesn't end there. It doesn't stop there. It's a lie. It's not final. It's not fatal. It's not over. It doesn't stop there. There's a journey ahead. There's a future ahead. So he got up and ate and drank, and the food gave him enough strength to travel 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Sinai. That's some good eating. Woo, 40 days, one meal, a few days of nourishment, 40 days. Come on, how many knows that when God shows up to feed you, it tastes better and lasts longer than anything you can get in this world? Come on, if you've been looking for somebody else to fuel you, they're going to let you down and leave you exhausted, leave you weary. The meal that God comes to bring, it's a daily bread, but if sometimes you get a dose of it, and it will outlast anything else that you can find. 40 days to the mountain of God, then he came to a cave where he spent the night. But the Lord said to him, watch this, what are you doing here, Elijah? What are you doing here? He's about to bring into question, like, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here right now in this place, this moment? Elisha replied, oh, this is his perspective. Elisha replied, I've zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. That's his perspective of what's happening in the world. Well, I've been doing everything I can, but the people are not. I'm the only one. I'm the only one praying. I'm the only one giving. I'm the only one serving. I'm the only one. Nobody else. I'm the only one in my family who cares about anything or anybody. I'm the only one. I'm the only one in my community who wants for anything good to happen. I'm the only one. I've been working and serving and doing and all this stuff, but now they're just trying to kill me too. This is what I get for all this. All my working and serving and doing and loving, and this is all I get. Then God says, go out and stand before me on the mountain. And as Elisha stood there, the Lord passed by, and a mighty windstorm hit the mountain. It was such a terrible blast that rocks were torn loose, but the Lord was not in the wind. But the wind happened. The Lord wasn't in it, but the wind still happened. I ain't got enough time to break down all that. I'll preach a whole nother message. Everything that you feel in the atmosphere doesn't come from God. I just need you to know that. Everything that you look at in the world and the cray-cray stuff happening on the news every day, don't you turn around and be like, God made the wind blow like that. That's not always the case. He's making a point here to Elijah. After the wind, there was an earthquake. Man, I don't know nothing about earthquakes except that now they happen in the east coast of the USA, somewhere close by us, right? But the Lord was not in the earthquake. Oh, that's interesting. And after the earthquake, there was a fire. Elisha knew all about fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was a sound of a gentle whisper. When Elisha heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood before the entrance of the cave. In the gentle whisper. The gentle whisper. When all of the noise happens in the world, all the noise happens in relationships, conflict, darkness, negativity, wrongdoing. When all you can hear are the lies that you've been telling yourself, and all you can hear is the story you've been telling yourself. Sometimes God will bring it down to just a whisper. Just a whisper to let us know, I'm simple and I'm subtle. You don't need always for it to be big. You don't need always for it to be loud. You don't need always for it to be so noticeable. But you need this. You need to know I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm right here with you. And a voice said, again, what are you doing here, Elisha? He replied again, I've zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, killed every one of your prophets. I'm the only one left. And now they're trying to kill me too. He's sticking to his story. Some of us have been sticking to our story. it is only me. I am all alone. Sure, I know somebody else, but I'm all alone in this. I'm afraid. I've been abandoned. And everybody else was against me, and everybody else was against God, best I can tell. So I'm sticking to my story. I'm sticking to my story. This is it. This is all. I'm sticking to my story. Even after this encounter with God, Elisha needed a little extra help, okay? This is what it says, verse 15. Then the Lord told him, go back the same way you came and travel to the wilderness of Damascus. Go back the same way that you came. But I can't go back. I can't go back. What if people see me now after this? I can't go back. But for somebody today, you need to know, God said, you can go back even the same way that you came. The same way. You can go back through all of the stuff and all of the people. Don't you worry about their thoughts, their opinions, their accusations. Don't worry about any of that. You just turn around and go back the same way. And when you arrive there, look at what he says to do. When you arrive there, anoint Hazael to become king of Aram. Then anoint Jehu, grandson of Nimshi, to be king of Israel. And anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, from the town of Abel-Meholah to replace you as my prophet. Anyone who escapes from Hazael will be killed by Jehu, and those who escape from Jehu will be killed by Elisha. Yet I will preserve 7,000 others in Israel who have never bowed down to Baal or kissed him. Now, I know there was a bunch of names and a bunch of stuff in those few verses that I just read that you're like, great, I don't know any of those people. I haven't ran into any of them in my neighborhood. I've never heard of Jehu ever before. Who cares? But when Elisha was like, I'm the only one left. I've been working, I've been serving, I've been praying, I've been doing all this stuff, but God, you got to understand, I'm the only one. It's just me now, and I'm left here in my guilt and my shame, and there's not a future forward because it's just me all by myself. And God says, I need to remind you, you're not all alone. There's at least 7,000 that have been as faithful as you have. They are there, you just don't know it. They are there and they just don't know you. But if you will come back home to me, if you'll come back, if you'll trust me, here's what I'm about to do. There's about to be a reunion. There's about to be a coming back together. There's about to be a reconciling. There's about to be a belonging that's going to happen here in this moment, Elijah, because you need them and they need you. And if you would all get together at the same time, you would see that the battle that is in front of you is nothing that I could not do through you. All together, 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 together. There's a reunion that is happening. Listen to me. There's a reunion. God is bringing people out of isolation and separation. God is bringing people out of fear. God is bringing people out of abandonment. God is bringing people out of guilt and shame. And He's bringing us together. Jesus is bringing us together. Broken individual people. And He's building us into a new collective. A new collective. Because we do not believe the lie. Here's the lie. That I'm the only one. I'm the only one. We don't believe that lie. We believe this. I am one of many. I'm one of humanity. I'm just a human being. I can't carry the weight of this world by myself. But I'm one of many. I'm one of the children of God. I'm one of the citizens of the kingdom of God. I'm one member of the body of Christ. I'm one deeply flawed person, but I am one of many deeply flawed people who've been redeemed and restored by the grace of God. I'm just one, but I'm one of many. I'm one of many. There's thousands and thousands more. And right now, God is bringing about reunion, renewal, revival, reconciling relationship, and bringing us back together, because His love never leaves us like that. He finds us and brings us back. He brings us back. He brings us back. And He wants to bring you back together today. Right now. Wants to bring you back together, make you whole. Right now. Wants to bring you back together in a relationship that's fragmented. It feels like it's beyond repair. Wants to bring it back together. Bring it back together. Bring it out of you and piece it back together. Don't despise the brokenness. Jesus was broken on your behalf. He died on the cross for you, for each and every person, each and every one of you. And now I stand as one of those whom He's rescued, He's healed, He's saved, He's restored, who He's freed from guilt, who He's freed from shame. And I don't have to live afraid anymore. I go forward into the journey ahead. Let me pray for you right now. Let's pray together. So while I'm praying right now in this moment, would you just stand with me actually for a moment? I felt like yesterday that God started saying to me, I'm going to save somebody Sunday. I want to save somebody Sunday. Here, online, I want to save somebody, somewhere, Sunday, right now. If you're in this moment right now, and you're like, I know, I need to come to Jesus. I know, I've gone a long, long, long way away. But I need to come to Jesus today. Right now in this moment, you can call out to Him. He hears you. Right now in the moment. I just want to lead you and guide you in a moment with Him. Right now, you call out to Him. Jesus, I know I need you. Jesus, I bring my brokenness to you. All of it. Bring all of it to Him. And Jesus, I thank you that you gave your life for me. I believe you're alive. And Jesus, right now, I ask you, would you save me, forgive me, rescue me, make me new, Jesus. Right now in this moment, I give you my life. I give you my life, and I step into new life and eternal life with you, Jesus. Right now, in the room, online, when I count to 3, you just lift your hand and respond. 1, 2, 3. That's me. Here's my life, Jesus. I come to you today. Right now in this moment, Lord, I come to you today.